Hello and welcome to episode number 186 of the Reasons I'm Broke podcast. I'm Daniel.
And I'm Kelly. Episode 186.
Is it 186?
Yes, 100 and means decimal.
Okay.
So 100.86. That is what episode this is.
This actually goes right after number 18, so it's 18.6 is what it would be, right? If I said 18, 100.
No, you'd have to say 18 and 6. I'm very confused. 186. If you said 180 and 6.
So 186 would be 1.86?
No, 100. What is 100?
100.
100.
Yes.
And is your period.
86. So this would go after episode 100 then.
Yes. This would be like a 75% of an episode.
Well, I'll tell you right now, we will not have a 2-hour episode like last week. A little bit over 2 hours, and half of that episode was the Batman v Superman review, which we hope you all enjoyed, especially Brokettes out there. But for any new Brokettes, the way we format the show is we cover news ranging from comics, movies, TV, video games, and more, and then we finish it off with a comic book highlight of the week.
Before we get into that, though, we do like to talk about our week. So, Dan, do you have a story for us?
More of a progress story. I've been wanting to get a tattoo for many years now. You as well. Whenever you get your first one, you want another one almost immediately. And there's always a million ideas, and you kind of have to filter them out and work through them. I know I wanted a Bombshell Harley Quinn for a little while on my forearm. I still want a pixelated Bulbasaur. But you found on Pinterest an artist that actually takes Pokemon that you want and puts them into the form for a sleeve or an upper arm, half a sleeve,
yeah.
That kind of thing. So I contacted the artist on DeviantArt and gave her 10 Pokemon to put together into a possible half sleeve tattoo. So I've chosen my Pokemon. And I don't have the list in front of me right now because I had like 15 or 20. I'm like, here, put all these in a half sleeve. And she's like, you don't want to go for more than 10 for them to fit comfortably in there. I mean, I can force them to fit in there, but then you're not going to see a lot of many of the Pokemon. And I said, well, never mind then. But for sure, I can tell you Bulbasaur's in there because it's my favorite. I put in Pikachu because it's your favorite.
Aww.
So I wanted part of you in there.
Stop, really?
I asked my brother who his favorite, and it's Bulbasaur. I'm like, oh, fuck, covered. My sister's favorite is Absol. So I put in an Absol. So I got everyone covered. And then I put in Krabby, because I love Krabby.
Of
just
course.
from that one episode where he stomps the Executor's fucking head. Krabby's forever one of my favorite Pokemon. Halucha, awesome Pokemon. Threw him in there. Originally, I had Drapion, but that was one of the ones I had to cut. Chansey, the tank, one of the best tank Pokemon out there is in that design. I also have Aggron, Nidoking, Gengar, Chandelure, of course. Of course. I think that about makes the 10.
So what happens if they come out with a new set and then there's another one that's even more your favorite?
I've got 2 legs. I've got a back.
You've got 2 legs.
I've got more skin. I can put something on my ass still. I don't have any ass tattoos.
Can you have a Jinx making a kissy face on your ass, please?
Yeah, only if when we meet Brokettes in person, they're like, is that true you have a Jinx tattoo? I'll be like, yeah, here you go. And then I get to moon them and not get in trouble because I have a Jinx tattoo.
You're so funny.
So that's a work in progress. It'll be a black and white line art. Based on how it turns out, I may get it tattooed on me.
That'd be awesome. I still have too many tattoo ideas in my head to pick just one. And unfortunately with my job, I can't have visible tattoos. So that limits the space down to not a lot of room.
What are some of your top ideas, at least, that you're kind of mulling over for a tattoo? I know you wanted the tree on your back.
Yeah, so
for the longest time.
Something, and I mean, I would love to get it someday, and it's probably never going to happen. But I would love to get like a cherry blossom tree. And then get the flowers done in blacklight ink, so it looks like a dead tree, and then you put it under blacklight, and it's got all the blossoms on it. I always thought that would be a great idea. I love the minimalist planets that you love too, where they're just in a little line, and they're just the planets. Super cute. The 8-bit Ash and Pikachu has always been one of my favorites. I would love to have something with Joker and Harley. Something by Dustin Nguyen, because I love his art so much. The list just goes on and on. There's tons of stuff for kids. I've looked at all that too. When I finally have a kid, I'd probably get... Have you seen where it's the little thumbprints that make a heart and then it's the infinity symbol?
I've seen those.
Oh, it's so cute.
Why don't you get our dog, little AC, get her paw somewhere on you?
I would love to over my heart, but then you laugh at me every time I mention it.
And a little ace symbol also.
There's an ace symbol?
Well, yeah, the cards.
Oh, but then they're going to think it's for like Joker and Harley or something and not for...
So what?
Ace. I don't know.
Plus, if it's over your heart, I would think that I'm the only one that's seeing it.
Well, I'd hope so, yes.
So who is they that they would think that
Well,
it's
I
Joker
wasn't
and
saying
Harley?
over my heart. I was like her paw print over my heart, sure, but like an ace symbol I'd get someplace else. That'd be weird.
For the minimalist planets, you know you'd have to leave out Pluto.
No, I would definitely put Pluto in there.
Well, if you're going to put in Pluto, you got to put in the other planets that you would have to include, the other dwarf planets.
I'm only putting in Pluto.
That makes... Now, you're just selecting...
I'm going by the Blue's Clues song of my solar system, and it has Pluto in it. And you can't stop me. You don't know the
That's
Blue's
your
Clues
skin.
song?
If you want to have... So, if you want to have a bunch of planets and then a dwarf planet, that's fine. That's up to you.
If I want to have like the planets from my childhood? Yeah. I'm being nostalgic.
You got to put in Planet X also?
Nope, don't know what that is.
It's from my childhood.
Well, that's false, because we had the same childhood, pretty much.
I used to rent out the paranormal books at the library. I don't know why, and I'm not like... I'm like, well, it's not real. Fuck them, and you know. But when I was little, it was the most interesting portion of the nonfiction or fiction section, the science section. God, I gotta remember what that was. It was like mystery section, and that's where you found the Loch Ness monster books and all the ghost books and UFO books. And one of them was like all the crazy stuff like Mothman, and then Planet X, where they're like they think there's a planet out there that orbits just further from Pluto, and right now they're just calling it Planet X, so they're not really sure. And of course, now we know that that's one of many planets that are still in the system that are bigger, if not the same size as Pluto, that also orbit the sun. I guess if I were to go by that logic, I'd have to put in Pluto and then an even further little Planet X somewhere up right here in my elbow.
You leave Pluto alone, okay? It tried so hard for so many years, and then suddenly they decide that it's not good enough to be a planet anymore, and we all gotta make fun of Pluto.
It's not that they suddenly decide because they wanted to and there's some agenda against Pluto. It's because they discovered these other planets that you would also have to include in the solar system because they're also revolving around the sun, and they're the size, if not bigger than Pluto.
But we still kicked out Pluto, and now we make fun of him, and it's not nice.
I was not even making fun of Pluto.
You were making fun of
Pluto.
You were being discriminatory to Pluto. There were many, many years in your life that you considered Pluto a planet, and suddenly, because science, it's not good enough anymore.
It's a good reason. Because science,
no.
Yes.
No. I won't accept that Pluto will forever be a planet, and when I raise our child, I'm going to tell him Pluto's a planet, too.
I guess you want your child to be incorrect about things. Well, maybe even by then they will have reclassified what qualifies as a planet, and we'll lose another one.
That's horrible. Well, then my kid will be wondering why my tattoo has 3 extra planets in it.
Probably. All right, so now we've got into the news with television, and there's a movie that's been added to this list that I promised I would watch if it showed up again. Not on Netflix this time, though. We've got What's New on Hulu.
This is a monthly segment we like to do where we cover what's being added to Hulu. We also have, last week we talked about what was being added and taken away from Netflix. Mm-hmm. So first up on this list, we have Ferris Bueller's Day Off. That was what you said that you would watch if it showed back up. Here it is. Stick to that word. Don't, because of science, suddenly kick it out.
I'm watching it this week, I promise. The Mindy Project will have new episodes added.
Yes, The Mindy Show!
What season is this? Like season 5, season 6?
I think it's like 4.5. And it's such a good show. I don't know why you don't like it, because it is the best.
Look, I added it on there for you.
Thank you.
The next one.
Awkward! I don't even know why I like this show, but I love this show.
So Awkward is about high schoolers, but it's... I finally went to the list and I looked at it, and I thought it was a reality show, which would have been way more interesting.
No.
But instead it's a drama.
Yes.
Based in high school.
Yes. They're in college now.
Based in college.
Okay, so back in the... We'll start in the beginning. So Jenna Hamilton...
Is that an actress?
No, that's the character's name. Okay, Jenna Hamilton, I don't know, something happens and she falls in a bathtub and she breaks her arm, and she spills pills everywhere, so her parents think she's trying to overdose and kill herself. So then the whole rumor spreads around school that she's trying to kill herself, right? And she's like super obsessed with this popular boy who like she fucked in a closet in a gym somewhere at one point, right? So she fell in love with him, but he was all weirded out. So it's their whole love story for like the first season or two, or actually all 5 seasons. And they keep dating and then they don't, and they keep dating and then they don't. And now they're not dating again because they went to college and like crazy shit went down. So she's dating some other guy and he's dating some other girl, but they need to be together. And this is just how every season goes, and I watch it and I love every season.
What channel does it normally air on? Is it MTV?
Yep.
Okay. I got it on the first try.
I'm so proud of you.
Also, the other one we want to highlight for what's new on Hulu is Pootie Tang.
You put this in here for yourself. That was not for me.
Pootie Tang. This was written and or directed by Louis C.K.
Oi.
Who I love. And I can't wait to fucking watch Pootie Tang.
You know what you should watch instead? You should watch The Mindy Show and Awkward with me. Or you could watch this next show that we're about to talk about.
Another one of your favorites.
Yes.
But if you do want to see the full list of what's new on Hulu,
look on the internet.
simply Google what's new on Hulu. These are just the ones that I know relate to what we talk about, what we watch, and in Deadpool's case, with that final scene, Ferris Bueller's Day Off, which I am going to watch, finally.
I'm going to make you.
Takes place in Chicago, too. There's a lot of scenes from the opening of just the whole city.
If someone took me to Chicago, maybe I'd know about that.
You went to New York, which is an even bigger city.
So, I didn't go to Chicago. You rant and rave about how it's an amazing city, and then you don't take me.
On Fox, and this is a show that also appears on Hulu, the whole first season is on there. Fox has renewed the live-action Lucifer television show for a second season. That surprised the shit out of me.
Wait, so the first season's done?
It's got 1 or 2 episodes left.
Oh, don't scare me. Okay, so I am not surprised because it is a great show, clearly.
Yeah, you really like it.
I do. So this is based on the character created by Neil Gaiman and Sam Keith for the Sandman comic book. And the TV series actually averages 10.5 million viewers because all those women who are protesting it, saying they can't watch it, wait till their husbands leave, and then they watch it at home too.
It can't solely be the 1 million moms, because that is way more than 1 million, and we know that the 1 million moms don't even have 1 million members.
I understand that, but they still contribute to this. And you know why they contributed to this?
Because they find Lucifer sexy.
Yes, they do, because he's a good-looking man, or demon, angel, fallen thing.
So with 10.5 million viewers, this does make it the 5th highest rated new television show for adults 18 through 49.
Would you have ever guessed that?
No, I never would have guessed that. I did not think this would have the success it does.
I guessed it.
You never guessed. We both thought that this thing wouldn't go another season.
Yeah, I did, but it's so good, and I'm so happy it got renewed. This show can pull a Mindy and Awkward and go on for 5 seasons, and I will still watch it, and it will still be my favorite show, just like those two.
Based on the story from this first season, I really don't know where they can go after this, because this whole first season has been the story of him finding his humanity and becoming more relatable to humans and understanding why they make the mistakes they do, why they feel the way they do, as he's slowly losing his angelic charm or wit or
He's
grace.
not losing any of that. He's just becoming more human.
Right, so he's losing a lot of those powers as he continues.
No, he hasn't lost any powers. He's losing some immortality, but he can still do his voodoo mind tricks.
Well, his lure to women also is wearing off. You remember with the yes, it is with the psychologist. He's not able to get him as quickly as he used to.
Whatever. That's because he wants Chloe. That's fine. They can be together.
So after the season, let's say he learns what it is to be human.
Yes.
Where can you go after that?
I don't know. I'm not the writer. They'll have something for him to do.
They're going to have to with the second season.
Well, they'll find something for him to do, and you know what? It's going to be great, and it's going to get more viewers, and it's going to keep going forever, and will be on the list of my top favorite shows, along with Awkward and The Mindy Show.
So has any of this spurred you to want to read the comic, Lucifer?
Nope. Because it's not the same.
It's not the same, and I do sell the comic all the time at my local comic shop. That, iZombie, the TV shows, the movies, all of that sells the books, and it all goes back to it. Even something like Lucifer that I didn't expect to do as well as it is, people are buying the new Lucifer comic, the one that's currently going, and also the previous one that was spun out of Sandman.
If they would make a Lucifer comic that was also a love story, which is all I'm watching this TV show for, then I would buy it, but I'm sure it's nothing like that.
I'm sure a Lucifer fan out there that has read the books has said, actually, if you read these issues, there's a love story there.
Okay, so then write to me and please tell me those issues because I will purchase them and read them. But you know what would probably happen is I would probably hate comic Lucifer like I hate comic Constantine.
And so, television Lucifer
Yes.
and comic book Sandman, which one do you like more?
Television Lucifer. Because he's cool. He just goes around and he drinks. I don't even think he can get drunk. But he drinks and he runs a nightclub. And he's crazy.
At least they're kind of laying off a little bit on the whole joke about him being the devil. Like, that's me, the devil. Speak of the evil. Speak of me. All of that they got rid of finally.
I loved it. It was great.
I did not love it. It was stupid.
I loved it. Well, you don't have to watch it with me. I'll just watch it by myself along with Awkward and Mindy.
If that means I can watch House of Cards and finally finish that, then good.
I never said that.
That's the trade-off right there.
How was that even a trade-off? I'll just wait and watch Lucifer with you. I just said that you did not have to watch a show that you don't like. That doesn't mean that you get to watch a show that I do like without me. That's not a trade.
There's another love story, a more important one in business, that involves Disney and Sony.
So Sony has registered domain names, which many are speculating could relate to the Disney-Sony produced Spider-Man solo film.
We all know when they make these domain names, only one or two are used, and they put in extras, just like Nintendo does with Pokemon. Just one to throw off the scent, but two to leave their options open in case they want to do something with an event or a project. And here are the 4 domain names that have been trademarked or registered. These are Spider-Man Homecoming the Movie.com,
Spider-Man Coming of Age Movie.com,
Spider-Man Greatness Awaits Movie.com,
and finally, Spider-Man Suspended Movie.com.
They're not going to use Suspended.
Why not?
It's not marketable. It's not as marketable as Coming of Age or Greatness Awaits. Suspended sounds like a stalled project, and that's not the kind of message you want to give an audience out there. Spider-Man Suspended. It's not. I know it's a play on words for the hero being upside down or something.
Oh, really? Because I was getting like a play on words of him being a high school student.
It's not,
Just like Homecoming.
not his superpowers, just the high school thing.
Yeah, because he's going to be a high school Spider-Man. He's got to go to Homecoming and he could get suspended.
Coming of Age is another one. Even Greatness Awaits. I kind of wanted this to just be the Spectacular Spider-Man, one of the comic titles that they haven't used yet. We've gotten the Amazing Spider-Man in the movies. We've gotten just Spider-Man. They haven't used Spectacular Spider-Man yet, Web of Spider-Man. There's plenty of comics out there that they can still take from and just name this movie that.
Or they could name it Spider-Man Suspended, and he could get suspended from school and suspended upside down in the same movie. Brilliance. Why don't they have me write these things? I don't think any of these are the titles for it, honestly.
Yeah, I don't know. None of these really pop out to me as a Spider-Man movie title.
The only one I could really see, Spider-Man Greatness Awaits, but I don't think that would be the name of the movie. I think it would be maybe a catchphrase from the movie.
Or like an app that would connect to the movie.
Something like that, yes.
We'll find out. I think by this year, we'll know what the name of the Spider-Man movie is.
Somebody will leak it somewhere.
But we did just get more information on the results for Batman v Superman as far as the box office from week 1 to week 2.
So worldwide, Batman v Superman has brought in $680 million.
It's a lot of dough. I mean, even ignoring the drops or the whatever DVD or Blu-ray sales they may do, $680 million is a success. The budget was less than that. I think it's
How much less than that?
The budget, I want to say, was like 460 something was the budget on this one. It's still up there, but for something I learned in film class is for the major studios, if with your results in the box office, if you can pay off just the movie, they consider it a success because then they make more money off the marketing, they make money off of merchandising, the movie sales as well.
Right.
If they make less than that, then they're like, fuck this, because even with the marketing and the merchandise, if then they break even, then it's not a success. 680 million, they're fine. Warner Brothers is not worried about the success of the DC movies moving forward. But there's been tons of articles out there highlighting the drop between week 1 and week 2. And that's something that I feel is important to talk about because there seems to be an uphill battle for these movies and sort of an agenda to see them fail as opposed to the Marvel movies, which everyone wants to hold up as the superhero movies for this generation.
So the weekend to weekend drop for this movie has been 68%.
All major films have a large drop between weekends.
So just some examples. Avengers Age of Ultron had 59%. Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2, aka Goodbye Snape, Let's All Cry, had 72% drop.
Big drop.
And Amazing Spider-Man 2 had a 61% drop.
Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows is still one of the top grossing movies of all time. Mm-hmm. And that 72% drop does not matter to that. To Warner Brothers, doesn't matter to the franchise. We already have a spin-off coming out this year.
What spin-off?
It's called Harry Potter...
The Beast
Magical
movie?
World of Beasts. Yeah, it was fantastical. It's a title that's exactly like the book. That I'm like, why didn't they simplify this a little bit? Or throw in Harry Potter and Fantastical Beasts. Yeah, that's the one, the Fantastical Beast. And it's only, I don't think they're splitting that book up into different movies because there's no part 1 or anything on it. That one's set to release in November.
Huh. Well, that one will have a drop too.
Magical Beasts and Where to Find Them. That's what it is. Not the easiest title to market.
Definitely not.
They kept it exactly like the book, and maybe that was one of the conditions for J.K. Rowling.
That's what people want, and it's going to make her money, so...
She's like, I make more off these books, so if you're going to make this movie and I'm going to sign off on this, you're going to give it the exact same title, because I want a bigger bump when that bitch comes out this year.
Yep.
They're like, shit, all right.
And it's going to happen, and they aren't even fighting her, because they know that she's already made them billions, and she's going to make them even more.
What do you think about that drop? 68% between one weekend and the other. Do you think that's due to the poor reviews it's received, the word of mouth, people not seeing it more than once?
I think the biggest part is people not seeing it more than once. This movie, from all the people that I've talked to, is very hit and miss for a lot of people. So, you know, it got a lot of hype. They saw it once, and if they weren't in love with it, then they didn't go back to see it. I mean, at the end of the day, ticket prices are so high. For the most part, you have to be in love with something to go back and see it again.
The other thing, too, is to do that well, your opening weekend, you can't expect to do anything near that when you've hit such a high mark the second weekend. If this had done maybe half of what we have here, then you'd probably see a closer box office. You wouldn't see as much of a drop that second weekend, but it hit so many ticket sales, and it hit such a high number. And all of these major films have hit high numbers. So yeah, they're going to have a huge drop because everyone couldn't wait till the second weekend or third weekend to see it.
Right.
They all went during the opening weekend. And Batman v Superman was no exception, and the drop-off hasn't been as large as other movies like we pointed out. But in the wake of Batman v Superman's poor reviews, The Hollywood Reporter broke the story that Warner Brothers CEO Kevin Tsuchihara wants to reduce smaller releases and put more focus on the heavier franchises like the DC Cinematic Universe, like Harry Potter, like the Lego movies.
Well, yeah, all of these make them money. Why wouldn't you do that? Is this news? Is water still wet? I mean...
what was his name? That was a line from Batman v Superman also.
Oh, yeah, I don't even remember.
Crime in Gotham. Water still wet.
Oh, no. Perry White.
Yeah. That's what it should have cut into. But with those huge franchises, Warner Brothers has always taken its chance and done smaller projects. They like the fact that they can let artists do their thing as far as bigger budget standalone movies. But those are risky because you don't have that guaranteed success of, well, this is the sequel, so we're going to have this audience come in and it's an established franchise. You're taking more of a chance. But with these reviews, I think they're looking at that and saying, well, then let's put less of our resources in those individual projects and put them back into the things that are going to make us $680 million.
I mean, it's a good and a bad thing. We love the DC movies. Of course, we're, huge DC fans, in case anybody didn't know. And so I'm glad that they're putting their resources into making more of these. But then you also pull away from potentially amazing movies that, yes, don't make you $680 million. Did you say $680 million?
$680 million.
It's
That's just how I said it.
It's not 600.80 million.
Anyway, keep going.
But like I said, you're potentially pulling away from something that could be amazing and artistic and, award-worthy, but it won't make nearly as much money. So, ups and downs.
One of the rumored changes that they're putting into place is changing the producers behind the DC films.
So currently, Charles Roven, who produced the Dark Knight trilogy, and Deborah Snyder, who produced Watchmen and 300, also produced Batman v Superman.
I think they viewed the success of the Dark Knight trilogy and said, let's put Charles on Batman v Superman, and then, of course, Deborah Snyder, that connection with Zack Snyder. She's always been there for a majority of his movies. But people are saying that they should straight up get rid of Zack Snyder, as we said last week, with the petitions, with the Justice League movies moving forward, and with the rest of the universe. And of course, they're not going to get rid of Zack Snyder with a movie making $680 million. It doesn't make sense.
Guys are silly.
But that doesn't stop the fact that there are going to be some changes, subtle changes, as far as where they're going to put more of their money or their bigger talent when it comes to these movies. Lego, Harry Potter, DC Universe, those are the big hitters for Warner Brothers.
Out of all this, though, we do have now one of my favorite segments, which is our Nerd Rage Reaction. Dan, the jingle.
Nerd Rage Reaction!
So what this is, for those of you who don't know, is somebody who feels they should share their displeasure with the internet. And we find it so humorous that we choose to share with you. We're not going to tell you who said it, where it came from. If you really want to, you're welcome to look it up on the internet. But this is now my favorite part, because I just laugh at how funny people are.
Just copied and pasted it straight onto the notes. Will you do the honors?
I will. Get rid of Zack Snyder and make the movies fun. There was no joy in this movie at all. The actors are all great in their roles, but the rest is joyless. I feel like I'm watching Injustice the movie. I'm a bigger DC fan than Marvel, but Guardians of the Galaxy was what a superhero movie team-up should be.
Just make them fun. Why can't they just be fun and funny?
What part of this movie was a superhero team-up movie?
Which one, Guardians or Batman, Superman?
Batman v Superman, because I feel as though this movie was Batman versus Superman, and then in the end they stopped something that threatened the world. Whereas Guardians was just a team-up movie.
That threatened the world that's not even Earth. So clearly less important.
Clearly.
This is the thing that you see with the critic reviews pop up, and almost that's the same pattern, is that it's joyless, that it's dark, it's too dark, that it's not fun. But why do they want these movies to be like the Marvel movies? Why do they want them to have jokes in there? I don't understand why that became the standard for a lot of viewers and a lot of audiences, when this is a different universe, a different set of characters that aren't going to be a talking raccoon and a talking tree. These are icons: Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman. Do you want to see Darkseid cracking jokes? I put out that tweet. With the way audiences and critics want to see these movies, you're going to see Darkseid cracking jokes in the fucking Justice League movie. If audiences had it their way, that's what would happen. Is Darkseid would make some fucking quip in the middle of fighting the Justice League, and I don't want to see that.
They just haven't wrapped their mind, and I think it's because we're so immersed in comics that DC and Marvel are two very, very different things for us. We understand the differences between the books themselves and the differences between the movies. For a lot of people who don't read comic books, there's not really a difference. Comics are comics, superheroes are superheroes. Yeah, they see Marvel and they see DC, but that's all that really means to them, is the difference in, seeing Sony or Warner Brothers or, these different movie companies that don't necessarily have very distinct styles like these comics do. So I think critics are just being dumb and they're not taking these movies for what they are and for the differences in them.
They're being dumb if they're simply giving this a negative review because they feel it's not funny or joyless. I understand there's a lot of problems in Batman v Superman, and we covered those last week extensively, but if you're just gonna ignore the DC cinematic universe or put it aside because it's not as bright or uplifting or jokey or quote-unquote fun as you want it to be, then that's where you're being silly, because you do have to understand that these are not going to be these don't come from Marvel, these don't come from Disney. They're completely different characters. They're going for a different feel. They're much heavier, and there's bigger things at stake in these movies. And you can then switch on over to the Marvel movies if you'd like, and you have your joy and your fun. You go to the DC or the Warner Brothers movie and you have the heavier themes. So you have a little bit of both. I don't see why they want them to be the exact same thing. And if DC were to do something to switch it up, and let's say Suicide Squad gets real jokey or light, they are doing some reshoots. If they do that and this ends up being like the lightest DC movie in years, and it would be, because we just had the Nolan trilogy, which was darker than Batman v Superman, then they would say that they're just copying Marvel.
Of course they would. My favorite part, though, of this Nerd Rage reaction was when they said that they felt like they were watching an Injustice movie. That would be awesome.
Last time I checked, Injustice is fucking cool.
Yeah, that would be a great fucking movie, so please make that.
The comic is still going. They're up to year 5. And
Really?
all the readers love it. They love that fucking comic. And I still haven't read it, and it's awful of me, because they have years 1 through 3 already available and traded. I know I have to read them, because they're all telling me, like, look, there's the video game, and that's fun and all, but the comic is fucking great. I'm like, seriously? It's a comic based on a video game? They're like, no, you don't understand. This is really good. And it was supposed to be just a one-off miniseries tie-in, just like you have with the Arkham Knight. And it's kept on going because it kept selling, and people kept reading it.
Good job, Injustice.
So among all of the changes with Batman v Superman's results, Warner Brothers has moved the release date to Wonder Woman up to June 2nd, 2017. It was previously set to release on June 23rd.
This is smart. Move it up. Give us less time to wait in between them. They've also added 2 new, currently unnamed DC films set for October 5th, 2018 and November 1st, 2019.
There's also been an untitled Warner Brothers event film added for October 6th, 2017. Not necessarily one that ties into the DC Cinematic Universe. We don't know where this fits, but people speculated that it could be another DC film.
Lucifer the movie? Can it be Lucifer the movie? With Constantine.
Now, with these movies, before we go into what we speculate and what many people are speculating these are, that immediately tells me that there's confidence behind this brand and behind what they have the rights to.
Do you know how much confidence?
Enough to add 3 more movies, move Wonder Woman up.
$680 million worth of confidence.
And counting.
Yep. Because before DVD sales. So the current rumors for these spots are Suicide Squad 2, Man of Steel 2, and a solo Batman film.
We already know Suicide Squad 2 is definitely happening. A lot of the actors have already come out and said, well, maybe you'll see it in Suicide Squad 2. Margot Robbie has been a big one that said, yeah, in Suicide Squad 2, maybe we will see the classic Harley Quinn outfit. We don't know yet. Or the other concepts for Harley Quinn. So somewhere they've probably already signed on. And even before Suicide Squad, they probably said, okay, you're signed on for 3 movies. And as we all know with these contracts, it doesn't, even if, let's say, Suicide Squad flopped, they're still on the contract for 2 Warner Brothers movies. And one of which could be Suicide Squad 2, or if they had to fail, to any projects that WB has.
Right.
They've touched on Man of Steel 2, how they do want to have a solo Superman movie. But the solo Batman movie has gotten the most excitement, especially after Batman v Superman released, where people are now saying all across the board, that was, maybe I didn't like Batman v Superman, but I really liked Batman. Ben Affleck nailed it as Batman. Yeah, okay, he proved everyone wrong. And it's like the super flip-flop, even more so. Even before the trailers, they saw the movie and they're like, that's the best Batman ever. And I haven't heard anyone say, well, I was wrong about Ben. No one. They've all said, oh, yeah, he did really good, pretending like they never said anything wrong about Affleck. Of course they do.
I never said anything bad about him.
And with Affleck supposedly already scripting the Batman movie, and some are saying he already finished it, we're just waiting on the news on whether or not he'll actually direct the movie as well.
I think all of these are very possible and probably definitely what these spots are held for. I don't know, maybe there's an Aquaman movie in there.
Well, we know Aquaman's coming in 2019. That'll be that Aquaman movie. We know Shazam is in 2018, I want to say. So that's not going to be one of those spots. Suicide Squad 2 is almost a guarantee that's definitely one of them. I think Batman's the other. Man of Steel is probably the weakest of the 3 that I don't think it could be. Possibly Lobo, that we were just talking about with the success of Deadpool and them trying to really push, get this Lobo project back up off the ground. That could be one of those spots.
I would want a Constantine Lucifer movie way before Lobo.
Or Dark Universe with Justice League Dark. And that's Constantine.
I only want Constantine and only the TV show Constantine.
Who's to say they won't do that?
The TV show Constantine?
Put him in Dark Universe?
But I don't like the other characters in that.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter. What if, just like you said, you'd watch Legends of Tomorrow Season 2 if Constantine was a team member.
Yeah.
We sat through an episode of Arrow, painstakingly so, just to watch the Constantine portions.
Yeah.
So you would sit through an hour and a half of Swamp Thing, who I really want to see on the big screen. Constantine, Zatanna, Deadman. You don't want to see any of these. Just Constantine.
Yes.
Not even a little excitement for Swamp Thing.
No. Yes. But no, it could literally just be Constantine, like, running around on his misadventures, being the silly for the whole movie, and I would love it. That would be great.
And with this news, because Warner Brothers can't make a move without people getting upset, even DC fans, we have our next Nerd Rage reaction.
DC has had a lot of crappy movies. The Nolan Batman movies, Green Lantern, Man of Steel, and now this. There hasn't been a good DC superhero movie in the past decade.
I don't think this person likes movies.
I don't think so either. And my other question is, like, did he go online and type in the Nolan Batman movies and then pirate them, and somebody had made a fake film called the Nolan Batman movies?
It was Kangaroo Jack.
And Kangaroo Jack. And that's what they watched?
That all goes back to high school. That's probably what happened, by the way. And in high school, Spider-Man was huge. I don't think people give Spider-Man enough credit. It was the best
huge.
superhero movie of all time up until, Batman Begins came out, or Spider-Man 2. And it was a big deal because we hadn't seen anything quite like that. And everyone loved Spider-Man. Everyone saw it multiple times. In my computer-aided drafting class, we had access to Kazaa and all the other pirate programs.
LimeWire?
LimeWire we used. We didn't use Napster because we were trying to download games, movies, television shows, and one of them was Spider-Man. Like, the week of release, we were trying to find Spider-Man, and we found files that were large enough to be a movie, and it ended up being Kangaroo Jack. And we're like, God damn it. And we kept finding the same one, and it was always Kangaroo Jack. So someone out there was putting out all these different file names, all of which were Spider-Man, but with Kangaroo Jack instead as the movie.
That person is my new hero. If you're listening to this podcast, please hit us up on Twitter at Reasons I'm Broke.
And the best is, like, the way the software worked on these computers, they were all shared memory, so you can, like, save your stuff on one file and access it later from a different computer. But as soon as you logged out, it would wipe out any downloads you had. So we would have to re-download the games or re-download the movies. So every period, we'd have to find this fucking Kangaroo Jack movie again. Like, shit, that is not Spider-Man.
Why did you keep looking for it?
Because it's Spider-Man. It was huge. We wanted to all see it again. We couldn't wait till the weekend. We had to see it again.
And you were just going to watch it in... How long was your, like, computer time?
I want to say they were like 45 minutes, so you can watch probably your favorite portions of Spider-Man in that time.
But you kept downloading Kangaroo Jack.
Kangaroo Jack.
This
fucking Kangaroo
person
Jack.
is so much my hero. Let's make a movie about this man. Netflix, get on this shit.
We used to play Tron on those things too, with the motorbikes and everything. Doom, Legend of Zelda. The emulators we could save. We found a way to save them into the folders from your local computer, and then we can access them again. But Kangaroo Jack, man, they got us good. More than once.
Every day. Couldn't you see, like, who uploaded it and just stay away from that name?
I don't think it worked that way back then. It would just... Because every time you logged in, you'd have to put up a new name, if I remember correct. It wasn't LimeWire. It wasn't... There was another program, and I can't remember what it was. Like, something X. And it was always, like, black background with lime green text.
That's not shady at all. Very 90s.
Super 90s. But that's what happened to this person with the Nolan movies. Kept trying to find them, got Kangaroo Jack.
And just
Batman's not even in this.
Just assumed it was the Nolan Batman movie.
What's there not to like about the Nolan movies?
I don't know.
Honestly.
They were fantastic.
Batman Begins was my favorite of the three. Dark Knight was awesome. Dark Knight Rises, while the weakest of the three, was still very good.
Maybe because they said there hasn't been a good DC movie in the last decade, so maybe they really like the Batman movies with the nipples. Maybe that just does it for them.
They're a big fan of Batman 66, so they like the goofier... They probably want the fun back in Batman. Put the fun back in Batman. But, I mean, put the nipples back on.
That doesn't make sense why they don't like Green Lantern then, because that was a real goofy movie.
It wasn't goofy enough.
Oh, okay. And Man of Steel. I liked Man of Steel.
I've liked that movie more and more since... Probably when I saw it in theaters was the time I least liked that movie. Mm-hmm. And just like Batman v Superman, by the third time I saw it, that's probably the most I enjoyed it was that third time. Man of Steel, seeing it more and more, you kind of gloss over all the problems and you kind of just enjoy the story, the movie, the special effects.
Oh, Nerd Ragers. You enjoy that Kangaroo Jack?
I I wish I knew what they... And it's DC that has the crap movie. It's not Warner Brothers who's actually making them. DC Comics,
of course,
the publishing company, is making these movies themselves with their humongous movie studio budget. So that about wraps it up for the television and movie stuff for this week. Kelly and I now have some very exciting news about a one-of-a-kind comic book convention. They're not sponsoring us, don't worry. I wish they were, because this is fucking awesome.
Amazing.
First time ever at sea.
Yeah, so Wizard World will be hosting its first ever comic convention on a cruise ship.
On a motherfucking cruise ship.
Bitchin' idea, guys. Brilliant.
How did this not happen? Maybe this... I thought this was always a thing, but they're saying it's the first ever. I'm like, holy shit, why hasn't anyone done this yet?
Well, maybe it's the first ever for Wizard World.
Could be, and it's also the fact that conventions are bigger than ever now. Everyone being into comic book movies, comics being big. It makes sense that eventually they will have made their way into cruise. And with cruise ships, you see all kinds of conventions, rock and roll conventions, swinger conventions. So it's only a matter of time before you see comics on a cruise ship.
So Wizard World Cruise is set for December 2nd through the 5th, departing from Miami and going to Nassau, Bahamas.
From our state, Florida, Miami. How tempting is that shit?
It's so tempting, because it's really not that far away. I could use a vacation right before the holidays.
We should just pull a bunch of brokettes together and all go on this cruise ship.
Yes!
Be like, Wizard World, can you get us like a little discount if we have like a group?
They'd be like, no.
Look, it's your first ever. You want it to be a success, don't you? I mean, we'll talk it up.
You mean all 3 of your listeners that are too broke to go on this too?
So this 3-night cruise is aboard the Norwegian Sky and will include an artist alley,
awesome,
cosplay contests,
awesome,
and convention exhibitors.
Prices start out at $7.49 per person, so that's for the real shitty rooms, guys. And include meals, an open bar, and photos with celebrity guests. The Norwegian Sky also includes a casino, spa, full gym, basketball and volleyball courts, and an arcade.
$7.49 is pretty steep. But
for
then
3 days, yeah.
And then I saw the open bar, though, and I'm like, I would get my money's worth on that fucking open bar.
You would not remember that cruise.
I'd be so drunk, I would just wake up with a bunch of signatures and celebrity photos that I wouldn't even remember that I got. But they're saying that it includes the photos with the celebrity guests. And it includes your open bar. So that kind of, I mean, a lot of these times with these photos, especially with these bigger guests, they could cost you $50 to $100 if you want a signature and the photo op, plus the photo itself, of course. So $7.49 per person for 3 nights. That ends up being what, $350 a night, maybe $400
a night? No, it's like $280 something.
So it's not the cheapest cruise, but it's not the most expensive one. I'm very curious as to see how this one goes. And how successful it is. One of my friends on Facebook was saying that this is going to fail because most people are going to spend most of their money on the cruise and they're not going to have any left over for the exhibitor. But not everyone is there's people that are well off that go to conventions that will go to this.
Well, and the thing too, just like you pointed out, okay, so 3 days at a convention is what? Between $60 and $100 probably. And people come from out of state to stay in hotels to go to those cruises,
That's
which
true.
is probably another $100 a night. So realistically, people coming to conventions probably spend about this much for a weekend anyway. And that's doesn't include their meals, it doesn't include their drinks. You know, this is pretty much an all-night convention for 3 days, because what are the celebrities going to do when they're done at the exhibit? They're not just going to go back to the rooms and sit there the whole time. You're going to see these people walking around. You're going to get opportunities to interact with them. I would be curious to see the guest list, because if there were people I wanted to see badly enough, yes, it would 100% be worth the money.
I know Reedus from The Walking Dead, who's probably the most famous of the Walking Dead cast, is headlining this cruise. So they've already got at least one big name for this one. And if anyone's going to do it, it's going to be Wizard World.
Of course. So we're going to hold off for now.
I definitely don't have $7.49 at the cheapest.
Not right now, but that's in December. And if Paul Dini ends up on this, if Kevin Conroy's on this cruise, come on, tell me you'd say no.
To spend 3 days at sea, and they can't escape you. You can ask them all the Batman questions you want.
3 days at sea, if you had Kevin Conroy, Mark Hamill, like if they made Batman the Animated Series convention
the cruise ship.
cruise.
Oh man, that'd be awesome.
You would go.
That'd be amazing.
You would go. And then, like, all the different meals were, like, superhero themed.
Mark Hamill tries to murder us at the casino.
Yeah. Be perfect. They renamed the casino Joker's Wild.
Yeah.
You would spend $1,000 for 3 days. Don't even lie.
So out of the cruise ship, out of the ocean, out of those dreams of having an animated series cruise ship, we move into our comic book news for this week.
Image Comics has announced that their print subscription service will now be handled by Discount Comic Book Service, aka DCBS.
We know DCBS pretty well. About a year ago, we talked about the problems of advertising DCBS on comic books when retailers are also selling those same books, and those ads are there to compete against brick and mortar stores. DCBS is like the Amazon of comic book print sales, because they can put them up at 30% discount, and that's what Image will be available at now, because before you can get it with DC Comics, Marvel, Image books will now be available at the 30% off retail discount.
We have a quote. DCBS has long been one of our most supportive accounts, and we're so excited to be able to partner with them and expand the reach of Image Direct, said Corey Murphy, Director of Sales at Image Comics. Retailers are the backbone to this industry, but unfortunately, many of our fans do not live in areas close by a local comic shop. We hope through DCBS and Image Direct, we can fix that and widen the audience for creator-owned comics and merchandise.
Bullshit, is what I say.
They want to make more money.
And I can't argue with that, wanting to make more. But this is not some epidemic of, they just can't find these books anywhere. It's hard to, with these retailers. That is not why. And I know they're saying that to try to protect, like, the relationship with brick and mortar stores by saying retailers are the backbone to this industry. But we're going to go around them and sell straight to consumers at a 30% discount, because who cares about having comic shops exist? That's what that tells me.
And that is pretty much what they're saying. They're trying to be very diplomatic about it, but I feel like almost at this point it would be better for them to come out and be like, look guys, our sales are struggling. This is a way for us to make extra money. Sorry.
Well, it's funny you say that, because Image is extremely strong right now. A lot of readers are getting tired of the event and the relaunches from the big two, that they're switching on over to creator-owned stories. Books like Saga, books like Rat Queens.
So then what they should say instead is, hey guys, we're doing really well right now, and we need to keep making more money while we still can.
That seems to be the shift. There's just people moving on over to indie books, and that's growing and growing. It seems like every year they have a larger chunk of the pie. With DCBS now picking up Image Comics on top of that, it will affect comic book retailers, but not as much as if, like, right now they had just gotten Marvel or DC. Those do affect us, and it sucks. But Image joining that isn't going to be a huge problem yet. I just found it funny that they try to compliment retailers, but they're kind of fucking them too.
Yeah, I don't know. This seems kind of shady that they would just decide this out of the blue. Because like you said, they're doing really well. Maybe someone, like, had a knife to their back and they're like, record this. Well,
they know with DCBS they can just distribute many more copies out there, so it kind of helps their brand, helps out their stories. I get it, but being biased because I work at a local store, I'm like, this is not good. I don't like this. There's enough comic shops out there that people can get the books. I don't. It's hard for a brick and mortar store to compete with 30% off.
But, I mean, yes, I agree with that. But remember a few years ago when we were talking about all the online comics and how you were worried that that was going to affect sales in stores?
Was it with Comixology in general?
I don't remember. You were just talking about how they were releasing all these comics online, possibly at a cheaper price.
Oh, yeah. And instead they're selling them at retail, but if they were to ever cut down on that. But yeah, we had argued that people want a physical copy of something. If they really want to collect, they don't want a digital copy of a comic.
Of course, and those same people are ones who like to come into stores and look around the store and talk to the people. And again, I don't think this is going to be a huge issue. I think even if DC and Marvel jumped on this boat, I think you would see it affect brick and mortar stores.
Well, they are on it already. They're on DCBS.
Right, but I don't think they're going anywhere anytime soon. Until you do a Netflix subscription for comic books.
I think Marvel has something like that already.
That's so weird. Marvel, just stop.
So now we have some reactions to the DC Comics Rebirth event that is launching this summer at the end of May, beginning of June. Retailers overall have reacted positively to all of this.
That's wonderful. So our first quote comes from Mike Banks, owner of Samurai Comics in Arizona, who says, DC was quick to admit mistakes that they had made and present us with a publishing, editorial, and creative plan that I am confident will result in DC sales going back up.
Another quote here from Joe Field, owner of Flying Color Comics in California. He said, "The first 6 issues of the new regular series will be no strings attached, returnable to mitigate retailer risk and to allow us to find a sales ceiling. I wouldn't quite say desperate times call for desperate measures, but the incentives are strong. I do believe DC needs to extend that incentive to the Rebirth one-shots so that retailers can better find what the top is for DC sales."
That's so smart that they're doing this, though. It'll definitely get more retailers on board.
I find it funny that he said desperate times, because they did that for DCU also, and it was a good incentive for us to order up on the new number ones, and it was like the first 3 issues or something that they said were returnable. And finding the ceiling is very important for comic shops, because especially for a new series, like let's say Titans that's coming out, how many do you order for the shop? How do you know what to order? Well, you look at your subscribers, you've got Teen Titans, like let's say 30 subscribers to Teen Titans. You order 30 for them to see if maybe they want to pick up Titans also. But then how many do you want to hit the stand? It's a huge risk there, because you can lose a lot of money. You can have a lot of books sitting in overstock, sitting in the back issue bins. But with them saying you can return them, no risk, that tells me, okay, so maybe I'll order 100. If 40 sale, I know I can order 35 of number 2 or 30 of number 3. Or even better, if like all 100 sell, even better, because then you know what that ceiling was. Whereas if you only order 20 and you sold all 20, you still don't know what the ceiling is.
Right. Our next quote is, "There's a weird stereotype of DC rebooting all the time, yet no one has blinked twice at having Captain America having 5 number 1 issues in 10 years. I think we're moving to a period of time where what matters most is the story and not numbering." This comes from Adam Casey, manager at Sailfish Comics.
Are you at all bothered by new number ones all the time?
Nope.
Reboots, relaunches?
Nope. It's still, I don't know numbers to my books. I just follow the story. I follow the arc. I mean, every arc could start with a new number 1 and it wouldn't bother me at all, because at the end of the day, it's a story and it's great.
It's a weird balancing act, because, and I don't think there's a right or wrong way to do it. I think it's just a matter of following the trends. And I'll give my opinion on it afterward, but I have readers that tell me they like it when a series goes to number 50, 60, 100, 300, because in their mind, they're justified in collecting all 300, 400, 500 books, that all of it matters. And there's some that say after they finish an arc, after 4 issues, they should go back to a number 1 and call it Batman, Mr. Bloom. Have 6 issues of that, and then have that, and then say Batman Endgame, number 1. And just continue to have little arcs like that so that people can collect stories as opposed to long runs, so that you don't get lost if you picked up at Batman 68 or 69. So I can see the merits to both, because on one end it's like little stories that you can consume and collect, but on the other hand it's like a long-term investment to the Batman character or to Superman. So it's kind of interesting to see, and it's usually the older readers that prefer the longer runs, and the younger readers who just want to follow the story. Good example of this is Moon Knight. He has a ton of number 1s because that series goes for like 12 issues, and then they lay it off for a year, and then they start back at number 1, and they have a new creative team and a new story. And some people think that should be the way that books should go in the future.
Like I said, it doesn't really matter to me either way. I don't pay as much attention to the numbering books as I should. I pay attention to the names and the stories. If you were to ask me if I were to remember a particular story, I would say, oh, do you remember the arc where this happened? I wouldn't say, do you remember Batman number whatever? And that's just not the way my mind works and categorizes these things.
I'm in the same boat as you. It could be a large number, it could be a small number. We mainly follow creative teams anyway. When a new creative team comes off the book, we tend to either drop it or we just give the new team a shot and see how they do. If it's something like Batman, we're just going to continue collecting it until the story gets good again. We just got to continue to buy them and read through them. Although nothing has been awful as far as Batman goes. Batman Inc. we didn't get because it's Grant Morrison, and we immediately went, no, we don't want that. But as far as the collectability of numbers, I mean, we've all seen even a small number can do extremely well. Batman New 52 number 1. It did awesome. The Joker stories, which is number 12, 17, and then you have Endgame. A lot of those are very collectible. So to me, as far as collectability, not as important. The numbers won't matter. It's all about what character appears there, first appearances, or stories that go out of print that everyone is suddenly collecting or enjoying. So ignore the numbers, find out where the jumping on points are, and start collecting from there. No one starts from the very beginning of anything. There's always going to be some kind of lore behind the character that you are attracted to, that you started picking up from, that you're going to miss out on, that you're forever going to be learning more and more about. So we always say, jump right in, pick your favorite character, expand from there. This last quote is not as positive, it's a little more cautious. It's from Ryan Seymour, owner of Comic Town in Ohio, who said, "If done as an emergency reaction to a downward trend in sales, this could blow up in their faces. The big downside to that will be the readers and stores who will be the ones caught in the fallout."
The good thing with that, though, is now they're giving you the guarantee to send back the books if you don't sell them. And I don't know that this is really done as an emergency reaction. I don't know. Maybe it is. But it looks like it has a lot of promise.
As I tell anyone that's reacted negatively to Rebirth, is DC needed some shakeup because DCU wasn't working. The stuff from Convergence didn't sell well. Something major had to happen to get everyone's attention back to DC, to say, hey, everyone, look what we're doing over here. And everyone right now is looking, and even if they're saying, oh, another reboot, no, it's not a reboot, it's a relaunch. There's a difference. Reboot, you start over the stories. Relaunch, you're renumbering at number 1. And in this case, they're actually bringing back a lot of what people missed from before the New 52. So they're saying, all the old readers, and I'm seeing a lot of the comments too, are saying, maybe now I can start spending money with DC again. Which for me tells me, awesome, great. Get more readers in the shop, even if we lost them. Get them back in here. They're going to branch out into Marvel, into Image, into Boom, into Dark Horse, every other company. Eventually they will pick up. And if they have been picking up all those issues, the fact that DC is going to be selling more is great for comic shops. It's good for the industry overall.
We will definitely keep you guys posted with how this is going for DC, but from right now, it looks like it's going to be a pretty good thing for them.
That will do it for our news this week. We do want to remind Broquettes about Florida's MegaCon 2016.
It's coming up very soon, end of May, isn't it?
Yeah, next month.
Yep. MegaCon is our favorite convention. We've gone every year for the last 8 years. It's been a long time that we've been going, but always a lot of fun. We will be there on Thursday and Friday this week. This year. This week.
Yeah, you can find us at MegaCon at the Blue Juice Comics booth. And you could also find the other books that they have there. You can meet Tim Yates. You can meet Tom Mum. And, of course, you can meet Kelly and I at that booth. Again, Thursday and Friday, MegaCon 2016. We also want to thank our Patreon shout-out for this week.
This week, our shout-out goes to Lourdes and Katie.
Big thanks for the Patreon support. For any Brokeheads that don't know what Patreon is, it is a way for listeners to support the show monetarily as we go towards goals, which we have reached one goal already, which covers the upload cost for the show, gives us advanced statistics, which I have been posting on Twitter. And our next goal is Alphonic Audio, which levels out our audio for all of our shows, all of our podcasts, all of our unboxings, our Let's Plays, and we are $7 away from reaching that goal.
Woohoo! But of course, guys, our podcast will always be free for listeners. This is just a small way that you can help us out to try and make a better show for you. But the best thing you can always do is interact with us, talk to us on Twitter, leave us iTunes comments, just share with your friends. Let them know, hey, this podcast it's not terrible, so you should listen to it.
If you do want to support us on Patreon, you can find the link at thereasonsimbroke.com, or you can go to patreon.com/thereasonsimbroke. For as little as $1 a month, you too can get your shout out every single month. However, if you want to support us for free, here's something you can do. You can head on over to iTunes. Even if you don't have iTunes or you don't support us through iTunes, you can. Most computers come with iTunes. Find The Reasons I'm Broke on the store page, and you can leave us a review on there. Takes no more than 2 minutes. but the review stays there, and based on the reviews that the show gets, it bumps us up a little bit higher on the games and hobbies chart for podcasts. If every one of our listeners right now, here in this show, here in this episode, goes to iTunes today, this afternoon, this morning, tonight, whatever time you're listening to the show, and adds a review this week, everyone puts it in there, it will give us a very nice bump on iTunes, and it will get a bunch of new Brokettes. It will get the show out there to a lot of new eyes.
So once again, guys, thank you so much to our Patreon supporters and to all of our Brokettes out there who are now pausing this podcast to go leave a review on iTunes.
Yeah, thank you so much. And also thank you to decalavenue.net for helping us out for the decals at the $5 reward tier.
So before we wrap up, guys, we do have a comic book highlight this week. This is the only book that came out for us, and you know what? We really didn't need any other book.
This is Saga number 35, written by Brian K. Vaughan and art by Fiona Staples.
It's awesome. It's still great. It still holds up. 35 issues later. Still amazing. We have a great new character, and I am in love.
Still figuring out what's happening with the reporters. Hazel is still at that weird jail thing.
Yeah, she's in Orange is the New Black.
We're following the Prince robot and how everyone's racist against robots.
Isn't it so cool?
They think they all look the same.
And you thought they all looked the same too, didn't you?
I still think that.
Racist.
And so did the two characters in the book.
Robot racist. We also have the Seal Man being a badass.
Yeah, pretty good reveal at the end of Saga number 35. There's only so many ways to say good things about Saga.
But you still say good things about Saga, right?
It's a great book.
Still your favorite book.
It's not my favorite book.
It's your favorite
book.
It's
a good book, though.
You don't have to lie. It's your favorite book.
It's one of my favorites.
You can share with me. It's your favorite book. I know.
We like Fiona Staples and Archie. We like that she's focusing on Saga. And Brian K. Vaughan, we haven't followed him into his other books, although we probably should if we like this so much.
You didn't tell me there were other books.
We Stand on Guard is the other one.
Why don't we have this?
That's the one in which Canada is a superpower in the world, and they have super huge robots that they actually fight other countries with.
Are their robots real nice? Do they come into the other countries like, I don't want to hurt you, eh?
I haven't read it.
Well, we need to get on this. This sounds like it has so much potential.
It could. I don't know.
It's Brian K. Vaughan.
You haven't even read Y the Last Man, and that's a complete story.
Okay, that's because you come into me with big old books and have me try and find time in my busy week to read these things.
So then how are we supposed to read We Stand on Guard?
And then here's the thing. Here's the thing. When you give me a book and say, read this, then I'm like a rebellious child and I don't want to read this because you told me I had to. That's how my mind works.
I know it is. That's why I didn't try with We Stand on Guard. Y the Last Man. I'm like, well, I guess she's just not going to read that. And I read that first trade. It was good. It wasn't Saga good, but it was good.
Well, why am I going to read it if it's not Saga good?
If you think, well, you could say that about every other comic that came out. Any Batman, any Harley Quinn. It's not Saga good. Why read it?
I'm ignoring you now.
Logic.
Don't use your science on me. Pluto's still a planet.
Well, that will do it for our comic book highlight this week and the podcast. We do want to remind Brokettes that you can find us on thereasonsimbroke.com. If you have Twitter, @reasonsimbroke, or facebook.com/thereasonsimbroke.
You guys can also head over to nerditmedia.com, click on the shop, and there you'll see some Reasons I'm Broke t-shirts. We have added a brand new color, which Dan still has not purchased for me.
That's right, black. Black with white text, the Reasons I'm Broke logo, or you can get the classic purple with yellow text.
Purple Barracudas, what were their names?
Purple Barracudas. I don't know what the black colors were. Was there a black color in Legends of the Hidden Temple?
I don't think it was a Purple Barracudas.
Purple Monkeys.
And blue Barracudas?
It was something blue, yeah, for the Barracudas.
And the green iguanas?
I don't remember all of them. But yeah, that's at nerdupmedia.com/shop. And just one of the many ways in which you can help support the show.
So thank you guys so much for listening. Once again, I'm Kelly.
And I'm Daniel.
We'll see you next week.